Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we are reviewing The Quarry. Yes, the new game from Supermassive Games and published by 2K, came out on June 10th and is available on multiple next-gen platforms as well as PC. We have on this channel reviewed pretty much every Supermassive game that has been released apart from the PSVR one that was tied into Until Dawn. So we've reviewed Until Dawn, Man of Medan, Little Hope and House of Ashes. So now I felt it incumbent upon me to review The Quarry. And it is a bit more expensive. They are sort of separating it out from their Dark Universe Chronicles thing that they've been doing recently that were a little bit cheaper. This is full price, £55 on PC. So, is it worth it? Yes. I mean, I had a well of a time playing it. It's not the longest experience ever in the history of the world, but there is some replayability in it, in getting people to survive and finding all the collectibles and making different choices and seeing what happens. So there is that aspect that provides it replayability, much like all Supermassive games have. It also has physical antagonists, unlike the first two Dark Pictures anthologies, where perhaps that wasn't the case. The only problem is it kind of like thinks it's being really clever in the fact that after about 20 minutes of playing, I was like, man, I hope it's this thing. And then after about an hour, I was like, yeah, it's this thing, awesome. And then after about 4 hours, the game's like, look, it's this thing, isn't that crazy? It's like, yeah, I'm aware, thanks. The antagonists of the game aren't that hard to figure out, and the sort of twist that's going on in the background isn't that hard to figure out either. It is a good story. A lot of the main characters I didn't like. There's like a girl in it who I just wanted to die as quickly as possible. She is such a nasty, vacuous piece of work. And, you know, she's played by Halston Sage, who was great in the Orville. I really liked her in that. And in this, she's like just, no, get away. But yeah, for the most part, there's actually quite a few names in it, so I don't know whether that would attribute to the increased cost of the game. So you've got David Arquette, Lance Henriksen, Lin Shaye, Ted Raimi. I said Sam. No, it's Ted. Good old Aunt What's-Her-Face from Evil Dead. I think the main cast are the counsellors in the camp. Oh, Ethan Suplee is in his new buff form as well. Not with his beard though. They should have left the beard. That would have gone well with the whole sort of countryman look, I think. But they didn't. But whatever. Yeah, so I think it's Justice Smith, I want to say is his name. Justice something. Detective Pikachu guy, or the most annoying part in the Jurassic World movie, where he was just screaming a lot. I think that was Fallen Kingdom, maybe. I think, yeah.
Looks worse than it is.
He's not as annoying in this, and his voice, I don't know if it's his real voice or he's like doing a Batman version of his voice, but it's really deep compared to the other stuff I've seen him in. So I don't know. And he's quite stoic. There are some okay performances in here. As I say, some of the characters can be annoying. The gameplay itself is like every single other Supermassive Games game that has been released, in that you walk about, you look at things, there are quick time events, and occasionally you'll have to like shoot things in a sort of pressure time sort of way. They do mix it up in that choices don't seem to have a counter on. At least, I mean, I played it on relatively easy because I was there for the story. So I didn't have a counter, so there was no, I could like think about what choice I wanted to make, which kind of made that easier. They've changed the hold your breath mechanic, which is now back. It's not like keeping your controller still or anything anymore. You just hold a button and then let it go, and that's it. So there's no accidental jogging of your controller, which was a nightmare on the 6-axis on Until Dawn, because that thing, the 6-axis control didn't work great. So it was entirely possible to fail something and get a character killed, not because of your own fault. Which was quite annoying, to be fair. And Until Dawn, I just can't physically play because it's 30 frames a second and probably under that for a lot of it. It's just, no. This does run relatively well. I can get a consistent 60 out of it, no problems, at 1440p. I am actually capturing it 1080p because 1440p will push my graphics card to the point where the fans become annoying. So that's not a fault of the game, that's the fault of my graphics card. That's why you don't buy the cheapest version of whatever model you're after. Lesson learned, eh?
Well, I don't know. I heard something, okay? Like a woman.
It does have the whole contrivance of like an interviewer or like a narrator in between sections. So in Until Dawn you had the psychologist, and in the three or you know, there is another new one coming, which I'm quite, you know, the Quarry did come as a bit of a surprise to me because I know they've got another Dark Pictures anthology thing coming.
Luck with the car.
So I wasn't really expecting another game from them. And they dropped the Quarry, and I sort of saw the trailer for it, and I was like, this looks like a Supermassive game. And then it was. And I was like, oh. I'm surprised. When I first saw it, I genuinely thought it was just somebody just aping their style, because I was like, well, they're releasing a new game. How have they got time to do this? Graphically, it looks great. There's no two ways about it. Supermassive games always look great. There are some funny parts of the animation, and the water, it looks for shit. There's a scene where there's a couple in the water and they're flicking at each other, and it looks like they're flicking, I don't know, treacle? It just looks really weird and thick, and it sort of hangs in the air really long, and it looks awful. I don't get it. I don't get how they've managed to balls that up so badly, but it's there. The character of Emma, her face doesn't seem to work quite like it should in some of the animations when she's talking. It reminds me of, you know, when you go to the dentist and they put that clear thing in around your mouth to keep your sort of lips back and your gums exposed. It kind of looks like that. Sometimes it looks like she's talking around a smaller version of that, like there's something inside her mouth that's like popping it out. And it looks a little bit weird now and again, but most of the characters look pretty good, and they animate okay for the most part. So there's that. I do like the camp setting, and I like the antagonist, although I don't want to say what the antagonists are, just in case you want to play it, but they look very similar to the antagonists from Until Dawn in their sort of form, and that's not how I envision these particular beasties. So I kind of like have a problem with that. It's kind of like, why do you need to make everything like really thin and long-limbed? It's like, I don't understand that. I mean, it works, but like having seen like the bad creatures, should I spoil Until Dawn? The Wendigos from Until Dawn. Fuck it, it's old enough. I can spoil it now. It's on PlayStation Plus if you want to go play it. Go fucking play it. But yeah, so you had the Wendigos. If I hadn't seen those, then they might have been sort of like, oh, that's a cool take. And now it's just like, methinks you've ported some assets here, boys. And to be fair, I think a lot of the game is very much influenced from Until Dawn in perhaps some of the assets and the style of it. It does feel more like Until Dawn than it does the Dark Pictures anthology games. I can't put exactly on my finger why, because it plays exactly the same. Maybe it's because they're not going anywhere. They're already like there, and the sort of evil encroaches upon them. So, it's not. Yeah, the three games were about going a place where you never meant to go. So the ship in Man of Medan, the town in Little Hope, and obviously the caverns underneath Iraq in House of Ashes. But Until Dawn, they went to the mansion intentionally for a party, and in the Quarry, they're at the summer camp intentionally. So I don't know whether that makes the difference of what I'm feeling. The fact that it's like a place they're familiar with, and then the evil sort of comes in and invades, rather than them basically falling into the evil, if that makes sense.
Noises all around me.
It probably doesn't. I'm probably just talking out my ass, but I think that's where the difference for me lies. And you know, it's not a whole lot. I don't. It's not any longer than the Dark Pictures anthology, and you know, the gameplay isn't any different. The work isn't any different, but it is more expensive. They're obviously trying to separate other games out from the Dark Pictures anthology series, that they don't want to have it all underneath that banner. That banner's there for these sort of AA priced episodic games that all have the through line of the narrator, Pip Torrens, through it. So he's taking you through all these separate tales that he has. Whereas, you know, Until Dawn and the Quarry, they're kind of like their own beast outside of it. I'm not sure it's worth the money at £55. As I say, it's not the longest game. You can replay it, but there's no real... I think it's better than the Dark Picture anthology games, but only in the fact that it feels more like Until Dawn, which I like better than those three games as well. I still probably like Until Dawn the most, and would play it a lot more if not for the frame rate of it, because it just looks bad, man. After like I've been spoiled with a 144 Hz hot monitor, it's just like going back to 30 and sub 30, which it definitely is at points. It just turns my stomach. It takes me a long time to get used to it, and by then it's, you know, not the longest game in of itself, so it's over by the time I've gotten used to the stupid frame rate again. But the Quarry does have a streamer mode, which some of these games do have, which is a very nice for the guys that do it on Twitch. So it will replace like licensed tracks with sort of original or free, you know, shareable stuff that aren't licensed. So that's a really good touch that I know a lot of people will be happy about as they play it on Twitch and other streaming platforms. Controls work fine. They have changed a few bits and pieces here and there in terms of the controls. As I said, you now get time to think. It's not as such pressurized. You'll have interrupts now as well, so it will give you a chance to do something. You don't have to do it, but it's there and it has a timer for that. Or you can just make bog standard choices, which doesn't have a timer. You do get to use guns in the game, and you aim using a flashlight, and it works quite well. You use a shotgun, so you have to be mindful of how far away the thing is that you're shooting, because obviously the spread means they're not going to get the full load, if you want to put it that way, of the shotgun barrel. So you do have to do that. There are some funny moments, but a lot of the jokes kind of fall on their face. There is a character called Dylan, and every other line is him trying to be funny, and some of it works, and the rest of it comes across as a bit cringe trying.
No, we know.
Too hard, that sort of thing.
Get in early and scope it out.
So don't know. And I never want to hear the word peanut butter pops again for the rest of my life. It's like you've not just created this snack for the game. You've created this snack and a jingle, which is sung quite a lot in the game, and I don't want to hear any more of it.
Not tonight.
Outside of that, they sound delicious, but I'm just not wanting to hear those words anymore in my life. That's fine. I'm good with it. It does feature a cold open prologue, which is what I will probably be recording footage of, because obviously being a story-based game, I don't want to give too much away. Which does tie into the main game. It's not just like, oh, look at this happened at this scary place. It actually comes back around and ties quite heavily into the main plot as well. So that's really nice. And when you find out what is actually going on specifically, I mean, I knew what was going on generally quite early on, but when you find out the specifics and how it all ties together, it is quite interesting. The creatures themselves, although they're reminiscent of the Wendigos, the way...
Remain in the vehicle.
I'm trying to pick my words very carefully. The way in which they alter form is a new one on me. It's quite original. I'm not sure if I like it, but it is original, so I will give them kudos for that. So anyway, guys, that is my review of The Quarry. I liked it. I'm not sure it's worth the 55 quid, so maybe get it in a sale. But if you're into supermassive games, you know, and played any of the other ones before and liked it, you will like this one. It is one of the better ones that they've made. I would probably place it second of the 5. As I said, Until Dawn for me is still above it. But I think it is definitely better than Dark Pictures Anthology Stories. So maybe it does justify that money, and there is more stars in it. So because like the Dark Pictures had like 1 or 2 in each, and this one you've got like 4 or 5 people that you've actually heard of. So I mean, the other guy, I mean, there's some people in there that I think you would heard. I know like 2 of the cast of the counselors, but like outside that, I'm not really familiar with any of them. Although they have been in other things, so that's probably just me being a closeted shut-in for most of my life.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
Anyway, guys,
Good night.
let me know down below what you think of this game, what you think of supermassive games. And did you ever play that PSVR one? Because, like, that pissed me off, to be honest, that I didn't get to play that. Because I remember when Until Dawn came out and Snare and I reviewed it, and we were super hard at it, and then we heard that new one coming out. We're like, yeah, that was quick, excellent. And it's just like this fucking rail shooter VR thing, which was quite disappointing because neither of us had PSVR, and still don't. I mean, we both have Oculuses, so I don't think we're getting a PSVR and just expanding our range of VR headsets anytime soon.
Oh my god, I know.
Anyway, guys, that's it for me. Catch you next time.
I'm sorry to have to say, there may well be times during your stay at Hackett's Quarry where you'll have to defend yourself using potentially deadly force. When engaging in combat, simply aim your weapon and shoot where the flashlight is pointed. Take note, if you're up close and personal with your target, you'll do more damage. The farther away, the larger the spread, and injuries may not be fatal. There's a time and place for the use of weapons, and you may want to consider all your options. Remember, it's not always wise to pull the trigger. That's how people get hurt.